CBS News Middle East contributor Courtney Kealy joins us now to discuss this a bit more in depth. Good morning, Courtney. So as Nancy just laid out, this reported deal with Saudi Arabia is raising some concerns. There's these concerns of nuclear proliferation as well. That's nuke material and know-how getting into the wrong hands. What's the regional reaction you're seeing to this early reporting?
Well, interestingly enough, first of all, Iran hasn't reacted directly to this, but the U.S. is involved in a war with Iran, a war that Congress hasn't approved, or a conflict, if you want to call it that. But the whole point of trying to get to negotiating table with Iran is to avoid the nuclear enrichment and to get that highly enriched uranium out of the country, or at least diluted. So if the Saudis get this, there's no safeguard about enriching uranium for the Saudis. So while they say it's civilian nuclear power, and the U.S. would be working very closely and have contracts to help develop this, there's no clause that says, and you cannot develop highly enriched uranium that could be used as a weapon. Now, there is one with the UAE that made this deal. And so the UAE and the Saudis have not been seeing eye to eye, to not put too pointed a message on that. But the UAE has something different. Iran has certainly something different in terms of what the U.S. wants. And now the Saudis look like the favored country in the Arab and Gulf world. Also, other countries always point to Israel and say, look, it's an open secret that Israel has nuclear weapons. Why doesn't the rest of the region? So this is going to be heavily reviewed by Congress, and we'll see where it goes. For now, it's reportedly being called the 1-2-3 agreement.
Interesting. And we should note Iran says its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes. It's just that other nations don't, like the U.S., don't necessarily believe that, hence this war. I also want to ask you about this, Courtney. Yesterday, President Trump lifted the U.S. ban on direct flights to Lebanon, and this was just hours after meeting with its president. So what does that show us?
Well, it all started in 1985 when, under President Reagan, there was a real problematic, that's an understatement, there was a TWA hijacking in June of 1985, and that lasted 17 days. It was originally supposed to go from the plane Athens to Rome. It landed repeatedly on the tarmac in the Beirut airport. The U.S. diver Robert Stetham was killed and thrown onto the tarmac. You see the picture of the hijacker holding a gun to the pilot's head. And also, this was just 4 months after the official formation of Hezbollah and their commitment to Iran and then Ayatollah Khomeini. Now, what's interesting is I did live in Beirut. I've flown in there countless times. And when I was younger, so to speak, I actually photographed a reenactment of that TWA flight. And this is the photograph that I took when I had started. I was also a photojournalist, and they did a reenactment to show that they had a hijacking unit that could prevent something like this. Now we have to see where that is now, but the FAA will be under intense involvement right now to make sure that the security on this is airtight if these airlines are supposed to fly directly and if they can.
Interesting piece of historical context there. Courtney Kealy in our D.C. bureau. Courtney, thank you.